What is good, Ninja? OG over here from Player Essence, and welcome to another PE Nintendo Switch and gaming news video. Today, we've got a lot of great information for you guys, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Nintendo discusses the struggle of balancing various aspects of the Nintendo Switch's development, prototypes, and more. So shout outs to Nintendo, everything for the article. So creating the Nintendo Switch was definitely not easy for Nintendo. In previous interviews, Nintendo has talked about how balancing everything was kind of tough because of the type of system. It's a hybrid, and balance was the key point in terms of development for them. And that was something that was mentioned recently in an interview with Toyo Keiza. Nintendo Switch general producer Yoshiaki Koizumi noted how game developers tend to be interested in memory and a quality GPU for higher specs. And as a game developer himself, Koizumi can understand this. However, there was also the need to make the machine light, small, and stylish, while giving consideration to the battery life as well. On top of everything else that's stacked against them, Nintendo only had a set amount of time and resources to produce this brand new console coming off of the Wii U. So ultimately, Nintendo balancing all of these different aspects was the most difficult part, all things considered, when talking about development of the Nintendo Switch. Now, Nintendo's Shinya Takahashi added in that in order to achieve that balance, the hardware and software teams were more closely connected with development than ever before. The goal was to have a console in which something like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild would be fun to play on. Also during the interview, Koizumi and Takahashi were asked about how many prototypes were made. Koizumi himself couldn't point out any specific number, and it's not like he kept track, but Takahashi said that there were about 5 that he actually saw in terms of physical prototypes that you can hold. Now, Koizumi additionally noted that how Nintendo considered different ways of attaching the Joy-Cons to the main unit. They actually experimented with magnets and a dish-shaped parts. But in the end, they considered that the Joy-Con rail system, as far as what we see, was the best way to do it in terms of attaching them to the side there of the main unit. And yeah, that's the biggest thing whenever I hear people talk about more power for the Nintendo Switch and all that. It's all a balancing effect. Yeah, sure, you want to use a more powerful chip, which would be tough, especially back in 2014, 2015, when they were finalizing the plans for the Nintendo Switch in terms of hardware goes, what GPU they're going to use. The Tegra X1 was the most strongest thing that they could use and most power efficient, so they had to probably go with that. That's the only mobile chip that you're going to be able to use in order to get it at an affordable price and get it powerful enough to run some of the games out there that it is running on this system. So I do feel that people don't understand that. Like, you got to look at it from, like, if you have more power, then it's going to be more of a power draw. You know what I'm saying? So you have to look at that, and then more power draw equals battery life, and then how big is the battery, then how big is the system going to be. There's all sorts of things that play into it. You can't have a PlayStation 4 Pro or Xbox One X packed into the Nintendo Switch form factor. It's just not going to happen. Some people want a Switch tablet that's as strong as a PS4 Pro or even a PS4, but then they also want to pay a cheap price, and they also want 3 hours plus of battery life, and it's just not going to happen. You're not going to get that at all, or you're going to get a very, very expensive system. So I can understand balancing all of that is difficult, especially coming off of the Wii U and wondering will people even like this concept at all. So what do you guys think about what Nintendo had to say in terms of the balance of getting the Nintendo Switch just right? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Alright, and moving into the next article here, we have a brand new game announcement for the Nintendo Switch, and that is Cosmos Defenders will be coming to the system. Theory Squirrels has announced Cosmos Defenders, a fast-paced 2D shooter for the Nintendo Switch. The game features a group of unconventional heroes using the power of nature to stop chaotic aliens from taking over the universe. That is a very fun sounding game. It already has me hooked right now. So here's some of the additional information about the game. Cosmos Defenders is a 2D fast-paced revolving shooter about a group of unconventional heroes using the power of nature to stop chaotic aliens from taking over the universe, cooperate with other guardians, protect the galaxy from the wicked, restore peace, and make it prevail, or not. Here are the features of the game: multiplayer strategic cooperation involved in a chaotic, fast-paced universe, 4 different galaxies with 3 planets to explore and enjoy in story mode, power-ups, special abilities that will help you protect the universe, 3 different mini-bosses, and 1 big boss per galaxy to challenge your skills, millions of unique challenges every time you play with your friends in free battle / cooperation mode, secret galaxies and planets with special prizes and rewards. Now, Cosmos Defenders is hitting the Nintendo Switch sometime in 2018. There's a brand new trailer which you guys just seen as well. And once again, as we go on with the Nintendo Switch and as we go on with more and more stories of developers doing good on the system. Recently we got Blossom Tales doing well, Death Squared as well. You're going to see more independent developers. You're going to see more bigger publishers come out and announce their games for 2018. Obviously it's the end of the year. I mean, you might see a couple more announcements before 2017 wraps up here, but 2018, I think January and February are going to be big for announcements when it comes to Nintendo Switch, to lay out what's going on, especially with these sales that are happening with the system. It's selling really well, over 10 million at this point, probably going to be over 12 million by the end of the year. Nintendo actually had the eShop crash because there were so many people going on the eShop on Christmas Day, but they got it back up and running, I guess, in not too long, so that's good. So a lot more people got a Nintendo Switch, obviously, because of the eShop. That happens when there's a lot of people going on. So I think it's cool that Cosmos Defenders is coming. It's a 2D fast-paced shooter, looks like a lot of fun, and another great independent title in terms of games and styles coming to the Switch. So what do you guys think about Cosmos Defenders? Is this your style of game? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Alright, and moving into the last article here, Nintendo discusses its approach to the Legend of Zelda Timeline and understands fans' appreciation for it. And this is always one of those topics that I kind of want to steer clear of when it comes to Zelda Timeline, because crazy people start coming into this when it comes to the timeline, man, and I'm just not into, you know, going into all that. I just like talking about the games, and I just like playing the games. But anyway, let's talk about this. Let's get into this article here. So shout out to Nintendo Everything for the article. It says the Zelda Timeline has always been something of great interest and debate for fans. On the other hand, Nintendo tends to be somewhat bullish, or I would say timid maybe, on talking about it. Although the series has been around since the late 80s, it wasn't just until a few years ago that they released the Hyrule Historia, which apparently said the timeline, but many people actually dispute that in terms of what Nintendo officially published. And with the arrival of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild in March, fans are curious to see where Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild kind of fits in. And of course, Nintendo isn't giving any concrete answers, so let's go ahead and get into what Mr. Fuji had to say on the matter, which is the Breath of the Wild producer. He recently said this to Games Radar. Quote, "I wouldn't say that we're not concerned with the timeline. It's obviously something that we know is very important to people, and they do a lot of research on. But I think at this point, we're not really at the stage where we want to talk about where Breath of the Wild is in the timeline. As with the pixelated food, it's something that at this point we want to leave up to people's imaginations." It's so funny that they say that, and I think really what they want to do is not have it to where they put it somewhere and then it contradicts like a previous game or something like that, and which they've done before. Nintendo said, oh, well, this is where this game goes, and people are like, no, because that would contradict this. And Nintendo's like, oh, really? Okay, well, yeah, what's the timeline on? What's this whole crazy timeline about, you know? So anyway, let's get into the next part of this here. So Mr. Aonuma also spoke on the matter in terms of the Zelda timeline. Quote, "We published a book with the timeline, but we definitely got comments from users saying, is this really accurate? I think this should be this way. It's different, and history is always kind of imaginative. It's left to the person who writes the book. So that's how we approach it as well. It's not necessarily that we come up with a game and think, oh, this is where it fits in the timeline. Honestly, lately, we're kind of scared to say exactly where things are in the timeline for that reason. But we like to leave things to the imagination most of the time. And I think that's probably the best way to do it. Just let fans do it. Let fans do it. Let them argue. Let them make videos. Let them make official timelines, and you get the free publicity from that. When you put out an official one, then maybe people will stop making their own timelines and things like that. And some of the best videos that I've seen are Zelda timeline videos of normal people, not people that are trying to combat and go crazy at other people over their own timelines, but people just announcing their ideas, what they feel, and giving the evidence towards that in terms of what Zelda games fit where. And I think Nintendo doesn't need to say any more official timelines or anything. Don't even let us know. I mean, maybe give us some clues, drop some hints so fans can have some material in terms of where Breath of the Wild stands, which there already is some material in there to see where it stands. But you can drop some more hints, do whatever you can, but don't come out with another Hyrule Historia 2 or something that says, okay, well, this is how it is, just because I think it's just so much better to leave it up to fans. Like, let a bunch of Zelda games come out. So for the next 10 years, however many Zelda games come out when it comes to the big scale and small scale, and then drop hints throughout those 10 years, and then let fans put it together, because literally some of these videos are 10 to 20 years in the making when it comes to the Zelda timeline. So let another 10 years go by and let people kind of figure it out, and that's part of the fun with The Legend of Zelda. I know like game trailers or something like that did a retrospective, and there's been other great ones in terms of Legend of Zelda games. I think, was it the Angry Video Game Nerd or something like that? There's a lot of people who did different timelines that I've watched over the years. Don't quote me on exactly everyone, but yeah, I've seen some great ones and they're amazing, and I think that that's where it should really be. All of the Zelda YouTubers out there, all of the people who love the franchise, let them duke it out, let them talk about it, let them do everything. And I think that creates entertaining content for all of the Zelda fans out there. So what do you guys think about the official timeline in terms of what Nintendo has to say, and where do you guys think The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild fits into the timeline? I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Alright Ninja, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We've got Facebook, we've got Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. It really helps us spread the content of Player Essence across the interwebs in addition to YouTube. Also, make sure you check out our Patreon and YouTube live gaming page and consider supporting Player Essence. When you do so, it gets you access to all sorts of cool benefits, perks, rewards, and emails via YouTube sponsorship. So check out the link in the description below and consider supporting Player Essence right here on YouTube. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Lets me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to Player Essence for the latest RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next video. Peace!